What comes to mind when you hear the words law firm? A few years ago, my response would have included the words stuffy, serious, perhaps white collar, and so on. What about when you think of a lawyer? Before this summer, based on personal experience along with a little bit of speculation, I would have said someone stiff, boring. To put it politely, a person whose presence doesn't add a whole lot of energy to a room. The picture in my head would have also included someone wearing an outfit that resembles mine. However, after this summer, my perception of attorneys did a complete 180. For 3 months, I worked at a small family-owned law firm. The style in which they operated their business and the way they communicated this to clients was what really shattered my prior assumptions. The firm consisted of 4 attorneys, 8 paralegals, 1 secretary, and 2 office dogs. More days than not, everyone wore jeans to the office, and a number of them even walked around barefoot. The laid-back, casual environment rooted in empathy was what really communicated everything about who my bosses are as both attorneys and people. It laid the groundwork for repeated success and the development of mutual trust and a deeper than surface level connection between attorney and client. Even though the firm was small, they practiced multiple kinds of law, so I really did get to see a lot. However, there was one communication strategy used throughout. Whether they were handling a really severe case with reputation and record on the line, or a simple traffic matter, this approach worked without fail. So this approach was based in empathy. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. There was one day I remember distinctly where I sat in my boss's office as he took a phone call from a crying mother, asking for reassurance that it would turn out okay for her son, our client. Without a moment of hesitation or a second thought about the million tasks he needed to complete the day, my boss stayed on the phone with this woman for half an hour. He explained and re-explained the process to her, saying that he understood each of her concerns. In my opinion, as I sat there stuck in his office, the phone call seemed unnecessarily long. However, he stayed on the phone with her until it sounded like the tears subsided. When he hung up the phone, he looked me in the eye and said, "Sometimes what a client needs is just for you to be there and listen." And truth be told, I never really thought of empathy as a vital part of law practice until that day. The essence of empathy in law practice is that it lies in the lawyers communicating to the client the feeling that the client is being listened to, understood, and accepted, but not judged. Empathy, as defined in the Hastings Law Journal, is the real mortar of an attorney-client relationship. It's a powerful tool for encouraging clients to trust and truly communicate with their attorneys. It's also a central element of a very essential lawyering technique called active listening, what my boss did when he took that phone call. Empathy is different from judgment. It is not sympathy, nor is it compassion, reassurance, or denial. So too, agreement with a client's feeling is not exactly the same as accepting that feeling. So, instead of responding to the client's mother I mentioned earlier by saying, "I don't blame you," or "It'll be okay," an empathetic response, rather, as given by my boss was, "I can understand how upset you feel." Many clients, however, are not so sure of their attorney's intentions, and for good reason. What benefits a lawyer may not always benefit their client, and that's why it's crucial to use empathy in this practice. Research published in the Hastings Law Journal argues that clients often need approval from their lawyers too. The authors define approval as a wholehearted confirmation of client feelings, along with endorsement of some or all of the client's worldview. So using this non-judgmental, empathetic regard, was what really showed clients that the attorneys I worked for had the capacity to understand their feelings, conveying this sense of approval. And in my opinion, while observing them, empathy in combination with approval is how they conveyed respect. Clients truly did seem to feel respected by the simple facts that they were not being judged, that these attorneys did not have some superiority complex and were just ordinary people actively listening to their concerns. The Hastings Law Journal also mentions that clients tend to look for warmth from their lawyers. Might I say, warmth was communicated in more ways than one at this firm. To begin, when you walked into the office on any given day, you were most likely to be greeted by an extremely well-behaved, adorable dog. Now, this may not be how the lawyers communicated warmth themselves, but when have you ever heard of dogs roaming freely around an office, let alone a law firm? It immediately tells you a lot about the firm and its culture. So besides the presence of furry creatures in the office, clients were always greeted with a vibrant smile and received a genuine preview of who the attorney or paralegal was within moments of meeting them. My boss, Jim, is always full of energy no matter what kind of day he's having. As he walks clients back to his office, he asks them how their day is going, how their family is doing, or he breaks the ice in some other way. His enthusiasm and passion about what he does are absolutely undeniable, and clients can see that from the moment they meet him. Eric, my other boss, Jim's son, wore jeans and a polo shirt almost every day. I did see him in a button-down here and there, but that was really once in a blue moon. He made minutes of normal conversation with his clients before delving into the serious stuff, making them feel comfortable. And Kara, the other attorney I worked for, is one of the brightest, most put-together people I have ever met. And that says a lot, because being at Cornell, you meet a ton of extremely smart, put-together people. Anyways, despite the fact that I was an intern and she was always the smartest person in the room, she treated me as her equal, as she did with all of her clients. These are just a few examples of how warmth and a sense of non-superiority was communicated. At the end of the day, these people wanted their clients to know that they are just people too, and that they're there to help. During one of my first days at the firm, while speaking to Eric about his experiences as a lawyer, he said to me, "It's most important to be a human first and an attorney second." Thank you, everyone, and a special thank you to my bosses, Jim, Eric, and Kara, and to Professor Chambliss for this wonderful opportunity.